I just got off a call with a limo business owner in Seattle who was losing money. And he thought the problem was Seattle and he wanted to open 3 additional locations. Well, I had some news for him. The problem wasn't Seattle. And in this video, I'm going to show you the steps I walked him through to explain why it didn't make sense to solve his problem, which was losing money in Seattle, thinking the market was the issue, and show you why the problem was actually his business model. So this guy had been a client for about 3 months, and he had paused his ads a few weeks prior. He had ran them for about 3 months, and when we initially spoke, he said he wanted to do 50 markets, and I told him doing 50 markets is going to be extremely expensive, and I just wanted to find out why he wanted to do 50 different markets. Well, when we dug deeper and deeper, it didn't really become any more clear why he wanted to do 50 markets. I guess he just thought doing more was better than just doing a few, and it's actually the opposite. In business, you generally want to get your model working in one market for one client type, and once that is working and profitable, that's when you can start expanding out to other markets. So what was his actual problem? Well, he actually had a couple of them. And so in the limo industry, and it's likely this way in many industries, I look at it like you have 3 points of leverage. You have your marketing, your sales, and I say vehicle owner here, fleet owner, you're an operator. You actually own vehicles. You're not just a broker. Now, these are 3 different leverage points. By leverage, I mean there are ways that you can either A, deliver your service for less money, B, get a lower cost per lead, and C, convert more of those leads into customers. So let's break down the numbers. So first off, let's start in marketing. So when we got to speaking and he told me that he wanted to get into 3 additional markets, I started probing him, well, why do you want to do that? And he said, well, because I know someone who's doing just that and they're doing really well. And first off, I always question that when someone tells me they know someone who's doing well, unless he is privy to their financial statement. Much of the time, people have a tendency to exaggerate. But, for sake of argument, I said, okay, let's dig into this. So tell me, what is his business structure? And by business structure, I mean, does he own any vehicles? He doesn't, okay? Just like this gentleman I was talking to. Does he do his own marketing? Does he do his own sales? And come to find out, this or whatever his friend, some other business owner he knew, handled their own marketing, okay? Now, this is a leverage point. And what I mean by that is, if you can get viable leads, good leads, at a low enough cost, that's going to bring down the cost you pay to acquire a client. So let's do some really quick math here and try to make this as simple as possible. Let's pretend we're doing Google Ads. And let's say you're paying $5 per click, okay? The most confusing thing about Google Ads is people get clicks and leads confused. So a click is just when someone clicks on your ad and goes to your website or your landing page. You don't want clicks, right? Now, you need clicks to get leads, but clicks aren't what we were going for. And oftentimes people will say, if I can get clicks for 50 cents, why would I pay $5? Because you want the right people seeing your ads, the right people clicking on your ads. And so I know, based on all of our experience at Limo Marketer, working with 432 or so clients so far, I know that a 25% click to lead conversion rate is good. So what does that mean? That means $20 per lead. Now, this is a very important number, right? $20 per lead. Now, that is because we have dialed everything in, from the ads to the landing pages to the keywords, the negative keywords. That's what we get as a marketing agency. So I can promise you most people that are doing this on their own, operators doing this on their own, will not get anywhere close to those numbers, okay? And so you have to account for, let's just pretend that he did. Let's pretend he had been doing this a very long time and he learned to run his own ad. And so he's getting leads for $20 each, and he might be doing some SEO. So if he is doing SEO and getting organic leads, what that's going to do is that is going to bring down his overall cost per lead. Because let's say this gentleman has had a website for 10 years, been doing SEO for 10 years, and he's still spending, let's say, $1,000, $2,000 a month on SEO, but now he's getting 500 or 600 leads a month from that $1,000 or $2,000, which is $3 or $4 per lead, which is incredibly low, right? But this gentleman, if he's getting these numbers, which probably unlikely, but you never know, and he's not paying a marketing agency, right? So generally speaking, our clients, depending on their ad spend, are gonna pay anywhere from around, I would say, 15% to 38% of their ad spend for management, okay? So what does that do? Well, that makes the leads cost 15 to 38% more. So now that $20 lead that we're getting goes to a $23 lead or maybe even a $28 lead, okay? So if this gentleman's doing his own marketing and he's doing it right, well, he might be getting these leads for this, and he's not paying an agency retainer, okay? So that is leverage. So that's bringing down his cost per lead, because if his main source of client acquisition is online marketing, and this number 20 goes to 25, and you're spending $5,000 a month on marketing, you're saving $1,000 a month if you're doing it yourself, okay? And that goes straight to the bottom line. All right, so that's one leverage point. So the other leverage point here is sales. And so sales, I mean, okay, who's handling the leads? And so this gentleman that we were working with, he was using us for his marketing. He actually had a full-time person that he paid a salary to with no bonus incentives. And this is very common, and I don't blame him for structuring it this way, because it seems like the whole industry believes that the ones that are on your front lines and responsible for you booking jobs shouldn't be paid some sort of commission. Now, I do have operators I know that do pay commissions, but I will tell you, I'm guessing it's less than 10% due. And even the ones that do, I wouldn't say that is enough of their total compensation. But I digress. This is another very big leverage point here, sales. And so what I mean by this is, so this gentleman here, let's just say this person he hired to handle his sales, because he's not paid any commission and just a flat monthly rate, what does that mean? Well, that means that if he books 0 jobs, he makes the same as if he books 100 jobs a month. And come to find out even more, this person was even handling dispatch and was even handling operation sort of stuff. So not only would it be more work for him on the sales side, but also more work for him on the dispatch side. I mean, the incentive alignment was so wrong, and I was not surprised that he was struggling, because this person, I believe, was closing around 10 to 15% of the leads. And so if you want to figure out the math and, okay, so what does it cost to acquire a client? You do, let's say, $25 per lead. And if he's closing 1 out of 10, that means $250 to book a job that might only be $150, $60, $70. That's crazy, right? And this is the advice I give pretty much all of my clients, unless they're very big operators. The owner needs to be handling sales in the beginning, probably for quite some time. And The owner needs to get so good, they need to know exactly what needs to be said. If client says this, they essentially should be have turned their sales into a computer program. If you hear this, you say this. If they say this, you respond with this, verbally and via SMS, because there's different strategies for both. So imagine now, this, let's pretend there's this other company and they're actually making this work. They're doing the marketing and the sales and they don't own any vehicles. This is how it can work, right? And mainly I find for larger vehicles. But okay, now it's $20 a lead, right? Because they're pretty good at doing pay-per-click, and so they're getting $20 a lead. They're not paying an agency, and they might have a team handling their sales, but that team is commission and very highly trained. What does that mean? Well, that means not only are they closing, instead of 10 to 15%, they're closing 25 to 30%. And not only are they closing, let's call it 25%, but they're closing more round trips, right? They're asking for upsells on the call or in the communication, right? Because they are making a significant part of their compensation is based on commissions, okay? So they're incentivized to do the work, right? They want to have a higher commission check, so they're going to do the extra work involved. And so now if we're talking $20 a lead and 1 in 4 closes into a customer, that's 20 times 25, or divided by 25%, that's $80 down here to get a client. So this scenario is likely where, well, I'm not sure if those are my exact clients' numbers, but it's probably in the hundreds. And this would be someone who handling their own marketing, maybe their own sales. Now, a lot of my clients are one-car operators, and they have a ton of 1099s that they work with, and obviously they're using us, so we're getting them a very good cost per lead. They do add on a percentage for the agency fee, which increases your cost per lead. However, instead of having crappy sales because they wouldn't be clients anymore, it's not sustainable. Instead of having crappy sales, they are doing, I have a client in Charlotte, this guy's a rock star. He does everything that we advise him to do. He keeps his CRM updated, which is essentially just software you use to figure out, okay, if I'm getting 100 leads this month, how many did I quote? Okay, I quoted 90. How many did I book? I booked 30. Okay, so you're booking 1 in 3 leads, and 90% of your quote requests you're actually getting to quote, right? Because some people just don't answer or whatever. And so it can work doing this with a marketing agency, and even not owning most of the vehicles, doing a lot of farm outs. Now, this gentleman that I'm referring to, he owns a fleet as well. But it does work because I have so many clients, probably I would say 20%. So probably at least, 25 or so operators that they have one car, but they're doing 25, 30, 35 grand a month because they're farming out a lot of work to highly trusted affiliates, which brings me to the third point of leverage, and that is operational leverage here. Vehicle owner. What do I mean by operational leverage? Well, if all you do is farm out, if you're a broker, and I don't know what it is, I've never owned a limo business. I just want to be clear. So a lot of the advice I give here on things related to the actual owning of the vehicles, all I can do is tell you what my clients have told me and what I have observed. So don't take this as firsthand knowledge. But what I have heard, and it sort of makes sense in a way, is that when you're a vehicle owner, you are officially in the I Own Metal Club, okay? Because brokers is like a 4-letter word in the limo industry. And for those of you who have been in the industry a while, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Brokers are kind of seen as like almost leeches because they don't have to own any vehicles and they're making all this money. And the truth is, they've just got a different business model, right? And honestly, if I were to go into the limo industry, I would likely be a broker just because that's where my skill stack is, right? But this is a whole nother skill stack, okay? So like finding out which vehicles does my market need right now, right? At any given time in a market, there's a best vehicle to buy and a worst one to buy. And it really depends on lots of different factors. The main factors are really things that I can't just say, well, in this market, buy this one. No, it really depends on your business, where you're at in your business, how you're trying to acquire clients. That's probably the biggest thing I would point out, because if you want to do online marketing, you need to know, who am I competing against, right? If you're going to start a Google ad campaign or do SEO or do Microsoft ads or even do social media, who else in my market is running ads, and what vehicles do they own? And more importantly, what vehicles do they not own? But anyways, and I'm sure most of you know this, long story short, these vehicle fleet owners, they have more price control, right? And that's why it's a leverage point, because, and I see this all the time, you'll have one person in a city, actually we have a situation like this now, where the operator is this guy who's never really been online, been around for 25 years, everyone in the city knows him. He hasn't done any marketing, finally starting to now, because he sees a value in it, because he's like, man, all these guys, they're booking my vehicles. I don't know what they're doing. And so, he finally found us, which is cool, because I told him, look, it's awesome that, you've built a thriving business. Obviously you're doing something right. He's got this like in spades. He kills it on the operations side. He knows exactly what he's doing. He has, fantastic end customer experience. Now, the triple threat is when you get all three. And I have to tell you, off the top of my head, I would say maybe 2% of my clients are all three. And no surprise, they're huge companies. But I can even see the ones that are going to be all three from the early stage. They're the ones that care about the sales, right? They're the ones that want to get in and do it themselves and figure out how everything works. Well, obviously they're not doing all three because we're doing the marketing for them, but I 100% recommend at a certain point having an agency handle this. Once you get to a few thousand or even $2,000 a month on ads, start reaching out, start talking to different marketing agencies, because at that point, your time is likely better spent somewhere else, unless you are very good and you're confident you would be getting a much better price per lead than they would. And really you have to look at, where is your time being spent, right? Because at the end of the day, if you're spending a decent amount of time every day in your ads account, you have to kind of figure, hey, is it worth it at some point? So anyways, just to recap. So, there's lots of different models. And for this gentleman, just to wrap up this story, I told him, look, if you want to make this work, you're at least going to have to get control of this. If you want to use us to fulfill this, and you obviously are having other people fulfill the deliverables, the rides or whatever, you got to start focusing on the sales and getting good at it yourself before you can find someone. And even then, you have to incentivize them properly. You have to provide a commission structure, and it should be at the point where all of your competitors' pricing in your market, right? The vehicles they don't have, and you know exactly what to say if a potential client texts you this, if they say something on the phone. That way you can train this new person to be successful, and also incentivize them to do so via probably at least half of their overall compensation in commission. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you got some value from this. And hey, let me know in the comments below. I'm curious, what sort of model are you guys thinking? For those of you who haven't started yet, or for those of you who are already going, I haven't seen a ton of broker businesses where they don't own any vehicles at all work out. There's a few I know of. They're usually very big. But I'm sure there's some smaller ones around there too. They've likely been doing SEO a long time. They're likely decent with sales. And so I would love to hear about that in the comments. And so I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you got value. I'll see you on the next video.